can take Geshe?
Yeah, please.
So do it first in English and then twice in Hebrew. It's page 10. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened, to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, by the accumulations of merits of practicing generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. בבודה, בדרמה ובקהילה העילאית, אבקש מקלט עד להערה. באמצעות המצבורי של נדיבות וכו', לא עסוק בודהיות כדי להועיל ליצורים הנודדים. בבודה, בדרמה ובקהילה העילאית, אבקש מקלט עד להערה. באמצעות המצבורים של נדיבות וכו', לא אשיג בודהיות כדי להועיל ליצורים הנודדים. Heart Sutra, we do it in Hebrew. page 6. אשתחווה לשלוש האבנים העיקרות הנעלות. כך שמעתי. פעם אחת ישב הבאגבן בהר פסגת הנשר ברנג'ריה, יחד עם סנגה גדולה של נזירים, בעלי הסמכה מלאה וסנגה גדולה של בודיסטבות. באותה עת היה הבאגבן שקוע בעיצוב מדיטטיבי של מניעת התופעות, הקרוי הבהרה מעמיקה. כמו כן, באותה עת התבונן הבודיסטבה מעשת באריה אבלוקיטשבר הרב בעצמה, במעשה המעמיק של שלמות החוכמה, התבונן בחמשת המצרפים האלה כריקים מעצם טבע. ואז, מכוח הבודה, אמר כך שריפוטרה נכבד לבודיסטבה מעשת באריה אבלוקיטשבר הרב בעצמה. כיצד יתאמן אותו בן השושלת הרוצה לעסוק במעשה המעמיק של שלמות החוכמה? מי שאמר זאת, השיב כך הבודיסטבה מעשת באריה אבלוקיטשבר הרב בעצמה לשריפוטרה הנכבד. שריפוטרה, בן השושלת ובת השושלת הרוצים לעסוק במעשה המעמיק של שלמות החוכמה התבוננו כך. התבוננו האטום וחמשת המצרפים ריקים מעצם צבעם. החומר ריק, הריקות היא חומר, אין ריקות מלבד חומר, אין חומר מלבד ריקות. כמו כן, תחושה, הבחנה, גורמים מורכבים בתודעה ריקים. שריפוטרה, כך כל התופעות הן ריקות, נטולות מאפיינים, לא נוצרות, לא בוסות, נטולות זיהומים, מופרדות מזיהומים, ללא התמעטות, ללא התמלאות. שריפוטרה, לפיכך לריקות אין חומר, אין תחושה, אין הבחנה, אין גורמים מורכבים, אין תודעה. אין עין, אין אוזן, אין אף, אין לשון, אין גוף, אין תודעה מנטלית. אין חומר, אין צלילים, אין ריחות, אין טעמים, אין מושגי מישוש, אין תופעות. אין מרכיבי עין, אין מרכיבי תודעה מנטלית, ועד למרכיבי התודעה המנטלית העיקרית. אין בערות, אין הכחדת הבערות, ועד להזדקנות ומוות, ואף אין הכחדת הזדקנות ומוות. כמו כן, אין סבל, מקור, התפסקות ודרך. אין חוכמה נשגבת, אין השגה, ואף אין אי השגה. שריפוטרה, לפיכך, משום שאין השגה, מסתמכים הבודיסטבות על שלמות החוכמה ושושים בה. משום שבתודעתם אין מערפלים, אין בהם פחד. כשחלפו קלים מעבר לשגוי, הם מגיעים לשלמות של החלוף מעבר לצער. כמו כן, בהסתמך על שלמות החוכמה, הגיעו כל הבודות השוכנים בשלושת הזמנים לבודיות שלמה לחלוטין, הערה שלמה בהחלט. לפיכך, מנטרת שלמות החוכמה, מנטרת הידיעה הכבירה, מנטרת שאין נעלה ממנו, המנטרה המשתפר למה שאין שווה לו, המנטרת השכינה כליל שלווה בכל הסבל, משום שאינה שקרית, איתה שהיא אמיתית. מנטרת שלמות החוכמה האמת. תאייתה גתה גתה פרה גתה, פרה סמגתה בודיסו. שריפוטרה, על הבודיסטבה מעשתבה להתאמן כך בשלמות החוכמה המעמיקה. ואז יצא הבאגבן מהעיצוב המדיטטיבי הזה, ונשא מלון שבח בבודיסטבה מעשת באריה אבלוקיטשבר הרב בעצמה. טוב מאוד, בין השושלת זה כך, בין השושלת זה כך. יש לעסוק בשלמות החוכמה המעמיקה כפי שציינת, והתתגתות אף הם יצטרכו כך. משהעניק הבאגבן את אמירתו כך, סמכו שריפוטרה הנכבד, הבודיסטבה מעשת באריה אבלוקיטשבר הרב בעצמה, הסובבים האלה כולם, בצירוף הישויות השמיניות, בני האנוש, הישויות השמיניות במחסה, והגן דרבה, ושישפו את שאמר עליו.
Very good morning. Very good morning. When we meet each other, we say good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Nobody says bad morning, bad evening, bad afternoon. Why? Because we want to be good. See, as I said yesterday, we want happiness right from the birth. So similarly, we want goodness. So we greet each other by saying good morning, good afternoon. So every time you say good morning, you must remember this. Good morning will be there, not just saying good morning, but living a good morning. These are all Dharma practices. These are all teachings. And then look at your name. Like for example, what's your name? What does that mean?
It's a flower name.
Flower. Your name?
Ron.
What does that mean?
Joy.
Joy. See? So if I ask the name like this, everybody has a good name. Flower, joy, happiness, Buddha, whatever you say. Nobody has a name like thief, dacoit, you know. Nobody has a name like that. So it's not enough that we get a good name, but we should live our life matching the good name. Joy. When you have a name like Joy, you should be joyful all the time. When you have a name like Flower, you should be blossoming like a flower, smiling, you know. This is flower, smiling. These are all Dharma practices, you see. So that's what I'm saying. In Buddhism, Dharma practice is to live in accordance with nature, in accordance with reality. That's Dharma practice. Understand the law of nature. So Dharma practice is not a matter of following a laundry list of precepts. It's bringing your action and your desire in harmony with the law of nature. You do good not to win the favor of the God or the Buddha, or not to be appreciated by other people, but you do good so that you are able to cultivate this inner serenity, calmness of the mind, which leads to personal freedom. We all talk about freedom. I want freedom. I want. Tibetans are asking for freedom and independence, and many other countries are asking for freedom. Free. I want to be free. I want to be free. Yes, there are some external conditions which restrict your enjoying freedom, but the most important freedom has to be cultivated within oneself. So most of the time it's because of our ignorance that we don't give freedom to oneself. Like you are free to go within. You are free to think. Nobody can stop that. Even your enemy cannot stop you thinking. They can imprison your body. They can torture you physically, but mentally no. There are some Tibetan meditators who lived in Chinese prison for over 14, 17 years. So there's this one monk who spent over 14 years in Chinese prison. And you know what he said? He said, I was able to do my best Dharma practice when I was in the prison. Because he was taking advantage of this opportunity. He's not thinking about the torture and all those things, you know. He was just quiet and doing his practice. Probably people will also not harm you much if you don't make hue and cry, you see. And there's another monk who is still living in Dharamsala. He was in Chinese prison again over 14 years. So finally he was able to come to India, met His Holiness Dalai Lama. His Holiness knew him before in Tibet. So one day His Holiness was meeting him and he asked him, since you have been in the Chinese prison for long, you must have faced some difficulties. Did you? He said, yes, during some time I faced some threat. Then he always thought maybe threat to his life or something. So was it threat to your life? He said, no. The threat and risk of forgetting compassion for the Chinese torturers. Imagine. Because he had always been thinking about love and compassion to the torturers. That makes sense, because one who is torturing you, sooner or later they have to experience the consequences, the fruit of those wrongdoings. And nobody can escape that. Believe me, that is a fundamental Buddhist teaching, law of causality. You may be able to cheat and exploit people, torture people, and think that, okay, I got escaped, you see. But it will follow you like the shadow of your body. If you compare these two shadows, the shadow of your body and the shadow of the bird, okay, you go and you see your shadow following you. You cannot escape from it. You run, but shadow will also run after you. It will follow you. Then in the case of the bird, when the bird is on the ground, it also sees the shadow. But when it flies high, it doesn't see the shadow. There's no shadow. That doesn't mean the shadow is completely disappeared, because as soon as he starts coming closer to the land, he sees the shadow. You've seen this when you fly in an aeroplane, you know. Sometimes you see from the window, when it's coming very close to the ground, then you can see the shadow of the aeroplane. So it means that the shadow has been there with you all the time. So whatever you do, you will experience the fruit. There's no escape. You cannot cheat the law of nature. You cannot cheat the law of nature. Whatever you sow, you reap the fruit. So therefore, that's why he was thinking more about compassion and love to those Chinese torturers. Not worried so much about himself. Not many people can do it. I'm not saying all the Tibetans can do it. You know, many Tibetans get very angry with the Chinese torturers, you know, think not everybody can do it, but there are people who can do it, and because of that, even under very difficult circumstances, situations, they are able to maintain that serenity, that peace, that calmness of the mind. So therefore your practice, your training of the mind, your Dharma practice should be such that you are able to maintain that serenity and calmness and freedom in all situations. It is difficult, but difficult does not mean that you can't do it. You can do it. You can do it. That's the thing. And there's no other alternative. If you have a better alternative, you can go for it, you see. So therefore I always tell people, this spiritual practice is not a luxury. It is a necessity. Many people are forgetting this. It's not like living in a 5-star hotel. If you don't have much money, you don't have to live in a 5-star hotel, but you need a place to sleep. That is a necessity. So similarly, these spiritual practices are necessity. You follow any religion, don't follow any religion, that's your choice. That's your choice. But you need to have spirituality. Spirituality. That means dealing with your emotions, dealing with your mind. How to maintain a positive mental outlook in all situations. And that you can do. And that is the best refuge. At the times of difficulty, it's only your mental courage, determination, wisdom that will help you. Nobody else can help you. Sometimes groups come to Dharamsala. Then I tell them, I give this example by saying, okay, at the time of difficulty or on other occasions, only spiritual practices will help you, nothing else. For example, when you say travel to Dharamsala, do you carry everything with you? Do you carry your house with you? No, you can't. You can't. Do you take all your family members with you? Most of the occasions, no. Like even during this retreat, did you manage to bring all your families? No. Did you manage to bring all your possessions? There was no needed and not necessary, you see. Especially when we fly, then if you carry more than the permitted clothes, they will say, sorry madam, excess baggage. You see? So much of the accumulations that we have in our life are excess baggage. And that excess baggage comes because of your greed, your excessive greed. Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough for everybody's need, but not enough for everybody's greed. See? And it is this greed that is today destroying the whole planet. We are polluting the rivers, waters, we are destroying the environment in the name of progress. In the name of progress. The so-called economic development. How can you make that economic development? Every country, in every part of the world, they want to make that development every year. It should be better. What do you call that? GDP? GDP, or what do you call it? Not GDP.
GPS.
GNP. Gross National Product. Huh? Gross National Product. GNP probably. Okay? Yeah. So everybody wants, every country wants to make that, rise every year. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama says that you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You cannot, rise the standard of your economy every year. You cannot. Because the so-called economic development has to come from external environment, external material resources. External material resources or external environment has limitation. Anything that is physical, material has a limitation. Clear? So how can you make unlimited development from limited resources? You can do that only by destroying the environment, and which we are already seeing. On the one hand, we call ourselves intelligent human beings. And yesterday I also said precious human life, which means intelligent human beings. That's what the Buddhist teachings say. But the real test of this intelligence is how not only you have the potential, but how are we using our intelligence? In the right way or in the wrong way? That's the question. So how intelligent are we? If we are so intelligent, we should not be destroying this planet. If we are so intelligent, we should not be polluting the waters and the environment. Now everybody drinks from bottled. We have to drink from bottled water. Everybody has a bottled water. That shows we are not very intelligent. In ancient times, everything was so clean that people can drink water from anywhere. If it is a river, if it is a water, it is drinkable water. Now, because we are so intelligent and we have polluted the water so much, even at one point when I was in America, in a 5-star hotel, I asked the guy, the room service man, can I drink from the tap? He said, maybe, but he was not so sure, you see. The water that you get in a 5-star hotel, where you paid so much money, there also you will find this bottled water, which means you cannot drink from the tap. So we are not able to provide clean drinkable water. That is the outcome of being too intelligent. You see? So there are a lot of things we need to think and change our way of life. So development means what? Development means high-rise buildings, which everywhere now everybody is constructing high-rise buildings, multi-story buildings. If there are many multi-story buildings and in between there are shiny, nice roads and many cars are moving, then we say, wow, so developed country. Not realizing that in those big tall buildings, there are many people who are suffering from loneliness. Suffering from loneliness, low self-esteem, depression, all these modern diseases, you see. So all this clearly shows, I'm not trying to give a very bleak picture, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but I hope you will understand this. This is truth. This is truth. I'm not discouraging you, this is truth. I'm not saying we are hopeless. We can always change, we can also become better. But at the same time, truth is truth. Truth is truth. So it's important to understand that truth, you see. So according to this Buddhist teaching, an intelligent person is somebody who is able to live and others live also. Who is able to help others flourish. Not in terms of material accumulations alone, but in terms of spiritual development. In terms of developing inner kindness, inner compassion, inner tolerance, inner wisdom. That is the test of being a good human being, an intelligent human being. You see? Now today in the world, we imitate animals. During a fashion show, have you seen the catwalk? You know catwalk? Are you familiar with this word, catwalk? During a fashion show, the young ladies try to walk like this, you know. This is called catwalk. So imitating cat. Okay, things like that. There are so many things like that. I mean, it's okay with me. It's not a big problem. I'm just giving you an example. So we do so many things like that. Climbing the mountain or flying like a bird, you know. So many things we do. Okay, it's okay. You can do that also. But what I'm saying is the real test of being a human being cannot be shown by imitating the animals. It should be shown by using your own inner human potential, human intelligence, letting it flourish. And there, not many people are interested, because we have more or less become extroverts. You see, extroverts means always thinking about outside, developing the building, or making, beautifying your face, or stretching, doing some physical exercises, everything external. Inside, not much. No laundry, no washing, no cleaning inside. So that's the problem. And this is so because human beings are fond of doing only those things which they can see, which they can hear, which they can touch. And because mind is something, pure energy, which you can't directly see and hear and touch, so therefore we tend to ignore it. But the reality, the interesting point is that it is this unseen inner energy or mind, which, as I said yesterday, is your boss. So unless you are able to handle this properly, you will not be able to get what you really want, the long-lasting happiness and peace. So the one mantra that I am teaching you this time is, who is your boss? Huh? This is the mantra. Who is your boss? Your wife? Husband? Who is your boss? Huh? Say it. Who is your boss? Your mind. Is that a problem? Is that a problem?
Yes.
Your mind being your boss is not a big problem. But the problem is, what kind of mind? The mind which is your boss is not so intelligent. That's the problem. So therefore, when we talk about mind training or Dharma training, we are talking about replacing that unhealthy mind with a healthy mind. So according to Buddhist teaching, the Buddhist practice is not so much about visiting a temple. You can do that, it's an inspiration. It's also not so much about becoming a monk. It's good, it's an inspiration. But just to change the clothes, it's very easy. Clothes you can buy from the market, and you can buy a clipper and do away with your hair. That's not so difficult. But the difficulty is changing your attitude. You see? So therefore the whole Buddhist practice is not so much physical, not so much verbal, but mental, the mind. So therefore the one job that you need to do all the time is watch your mind all the time, wherever you are. What silly mind is thinking, what it is up to, what it is planning. So if it is planning to do something bad, something wrong, then you should, oh no, I should not do this. I may have some pleasure right now, but it will make me a lot of trouble in the end, you see. So you check yourself. From the temptation, there are so many temptations. This world is full of temptations. This world is full of distractions, unlike before. Okay, especially for young people, it's these gadgets, all kinds of gadgets, which are so alluring and so tempting, and people just spend their whole time distracted with these iPhones or whatever. You see. So therefore, we need to, if you want to do more spiritual Dharma practice for the long-term goodness, then you need to distance yourself a little bit from. I'm not saying stop completely, because sometimes it's also useful, but it depends how you use it. You see. Okay, but do not make this material facilities as a distraction. It's a distraction. It's not only this time, but even at the time of some of the great Buddhist teachers in the past, they saw these distractions already. Okay. So therefore, one of the teachers, he said, even if it is something which you take as a facility, but if that so-called facility is contributing towards degeneration or declining of your spiritual practice, then that is not a facility, but it is an invitation sent to you by the evil forces. Invitation, so he put it very nicely. Invitation sent to you by evil forces. So those invitations sent by evil forces are very tempting, very attractive, you see. So when it's extremely attractive and beautiful, you have to be careful. You might get entrapped. So therefore today, the world is completely sunk in the quagmire of the sensual objects. Quagmire of sensual objects. We always want something beautiful to see. The eye sense wants to see something beautiful, and you go after it. The ear sense wants to hear something melodious song. You go after it, you get entrapped, you spend a lot of money. Your tongue sense wants to taste something delicious. You spend a lot of money, a lot of time going after delicious food and things like that. Your body wants to, the body sense wants to touch something soft, something nice. Again, you have to work very hard to get those things. Spend a lot of money. And your nose also wants to smell fragrance, good fragrant things, you see. So what I'm saying is, we become slave to the five senses. We are not bothered at all with the mind, which is the most important thing. We simply follow the dictates of the five senses and chase the sensual objects. Chase the sensual objects. That's why today the world is running. Running towards what? To get these sensual objects. And in one of the ancient Buddhist texts, it says that even if